Dames, dolls, secrets to detect. It's the name you trust, the doll detective.
The night's thick with secrets, the kind that stick to your skin like smoke and don't wash away with dawn. Welcome back to the interrogation room, where we pry open the locked doors of desire and deception. Tonight, the chair's got a new occupant, Sex Doll House. A man who moves in shadows cast by flickering street lamps, where fantasy and reality blur into something raw and undeniable. Pornhub actor, collector, storyteller. He's seen the city's undercurrent and swims against its tide with a quiet, relentless purpose. Lean in close, light up whatever you're smoking, and listen hard. This isn't just a chat, it's a descent into the heart of the uncanny. The case of Sex Doll House begins now. Welcome to the show, House.
Thank you for having me.
So, House, tell me, how does a man who's made his mark in the shadowy world of adult film bring the cold, silent company of dolls into the story? What's the story behind blending flesh and fantasy in your line of work?
Well, I've always enjoyed creating like fiction and stuff, and I guess I can say it started with my 1/6 scale dolls. I seen people on Instagram creating stories with them, like posing and stuff like that. And I thought to myself, I could use a sex doll to do the same thing and have something that like no one has ever done before, and just have the boost in like popularity, I would guess say, from doing something that no one's ever done before. That's how I got into porn, because stories I would create, would go back and look at my Instagram, you would see that all like the beginnings of like where I was posing the 1/6 scale dolls in like porn videos. So it's like, it's going to do the same thing with a 1:1 scale doll.
Scale dolls to life size. Sounds like a journey through the shadows. Was it love at first sight when those larger-than-life figures stepped into your world? Or did they just quietly creep in, one dark night at a time?
It started with torsos. I didn't start with a sex doll. It was a torso doll. But when I would try to make content with it, I realized that you can't create characters with a headless and armless torso. So then that's when I started looking, like shopping for a doll. And then Mary, it was kind of love at first sight. When I seen her, I was like, oh my God, she's beautiful. She was a doll by Star Perry called Julie. I just went and bought her like almost as soon as I seen her. I didn't care how much she was. I just went out and bought her, no matter what my current girlfriend thought about it.
You can't spin a tale with a headless, armless torso. That's just a prop in the dark. But when Mary entered the scene, Julie from Star Perry, that's when the story breathed life. Suddenly, you weren't just handling an object. You were working with a character, a presence that could fill the frame and haunt the shadows.
Well, yeah, it's true. Like, you can't, and I still feel that way now, because I get all these torso companies wanting to work with me, and it's like I tell them every time, that's not what my content is, so I got to try to figure out what to do with them.
So when you're pulling the strings and setting the scene, do you see it as crafting art in the shadows? Or is it just raw, unfiltered porn for the taking?
Well, it's definitely porn. I don't really think of it as a performance, and I do think of it as art. I tend to really think out what I'm going to do. Like, it always starts from some like idea I randomly get in my head, And then it comes from like an Instagram post, story post, where the girls are like interacting with like something. And then they almost always end up in a porn video.
A good mix house. Can you unpack that further for our audience?
Well, I do a lot of like homework watching porn to see like to give me ideas of like positions and like camera angles, like the mood, and everything always starts from an Instagram post, like an idea, like randomly. I had one idea where Anna, which is one of my girls, she snuck into the room to try to have sex with me while one of my other girls was sleeping in the bed. So it was like out of her week type thing, but she was caught. This like funny interaction happened to where she like quietly like leaves the room. it was quite funny.
Busted.
Yeah, but then I did a follow up to that, to where the doll that she was trying to sneak in on, she tried to do it to her, but when she did, one of the other dolls were already in here trying to do the same thing, and it was another like funny situation.
In a world where trust is as fragile as glass, and shadows can betray even the closest partners, what do you look for in a doll? What qualities turn a lifeless figure into a character with a story worth telling?
Like one of my girls, she's considerably lighter than the others, because there's just like some positions that you can't do with a 100-pound doll. They're just so heavy to move. It's like once you get it on you, like if she was like riding you or something, you can't get it off of you for like quick changes in the filming. And like story too, like that's really important for me for choosing a doll. Mary, she's my first doll. I decided that I was going to get her mother. So this next doll I bought was her mother. And then the next doll after that is like just a character I created, like a university student. But I've been going through my head like, okay, what happens if Felicia, which is the mother, if she has another daughter and say she moves in here, she moves in. So that kind of like affects my choice in what I buy next. Okay, I could be like, okay, this doll here from this company kind of looks like Mary, so maybe I could get her, and that could be my next purchase. Like I had like my next purchases already in mind because of the story, like, and characters.
Sounds like every doll's got a part to play, a role carved in shadow and light. Do those characters shape your performance, shift your moves, give each scene its own heartbeat?
I would say yes, they do, because Mary is kind of like the cutesy, like, girl that like says like ridiculous things and stuff like that, but she is kind of like she is very sexual and like a freak. But then her mother, she kind of like is the opposite of her. She's very forthcoming and stuff, and her videos will tend to be more like hardcore type videos. And then Anna, she's kind of like in between those two, where there's a bit of loving and more like romantic, and be like hardcore kind of at the same time.
Looks like you've built yourself a full ensemble. Family feuds, college kids, the works. At this rate, the Sex Doll House might just rival late-night TV for drama and plot twists. So who's tuning into this shadow play? Who's watching the Sex Doll House drama unfold from the darkness?
Kind of think that it's like doll collectors and gay men. And I guess like curious like people. Those are the people I get messages from. Because it's like two different things. Because there's the porn side, and then there's the ones like the doll people, like on like the Instagram people. because it's like two different things, really. The Instagram people that I honestly admired, like the 1/6 scale people, because I couldn't really do what they were doing, because they would create like terrain, like scaled like objects and stuff, and because like the porn people, it's kind of a different set of people altogether, because they're looking for more than just like a story with my dolls.
I can tell you, as a collector and photographer, I have met a lot of great folks out there. What has your experience been like?
Yeah, I do have like regular people that comment, and I usually, no matter what they say, I usually respond back to them, because I'm making it for them and myself. But there are some people that can be just a little bit over enthusiastic, I could say, with my posts, kind of trying to push me to make more quicker, faster, but that's not how the process works with being creative and making things.
Yeah, House, you can't rush creativity. I know it takes me about 2 weeks to produce one show. How about you?
Well, it depends. Like if I get a really funny idea, I'll start doing the posing for the Instagram post, and then after the pictures are all taken, I would go to like edit the photos, like give them smiles and stuff, like edit out like things, and then I'll write like what they're saying and stuff, and then it will move to like the porn stage of my project, let's say, that I'm doing, and then that part there, the porn part, can take up to like, I don't know. I've had stuff that I would finish in one take, so it'd be just like up, like I'd have it up on Pornhub almost instantly. But other times I've taken like 4 weeks to create one video, just because of various things going wrong. And
the best laid plans often go sideways once the shadows start playing tricks. Sounds like every shoot's got its own little mystery to solve. Now, speaking of the crowd in the dark, how do your fans take to the show? Got a loyal few who stick by the flickering light, or do some wander off into the night?
I think on Instagram, like pretty much, because I do toys too, right? So when I would do a toy post on Instagram, it would get like maybe 20 likes or interactions. But yet when I post one of my girls in any sort of thing, that goes all the way up to like 100. So people on Instagram are all about my dolls. But I have encountered people when I've posted on other platforms where they just don't get what I do. Like there's a part of the doll community that are so purist towards like doll, like they don't like any sort of editing at all. So I'll post like something of like Mary smiling or something, and then I'll get pushed back towards that type of stuff. They don't get what I do. Like I'm constantly wanting to portray my girls as being they're living characters. I don't really portray them as being just like dolls. And I guess some people, they don't really get that.
Some can't see past the surface, huh? So tell me, what's the edge dolls give you? What can they do on your stage that real flesh and blood just can't pull off?
The dolls aren't people, like real. It's not a real person, so I don't have to think about their feelings or what their wants or likes or whatever. It's just whatever I need to create my content. So you can't really do that with another person, a real person, unless they're totally with what you're trying to accomplish. It's totally my vision of what I'm trying to create.
Keep my dolls close, like silent partners in my studio. Friends I greet each day under the harsh light of the lens. But to you, are they companions with stories to tell? Or just props waiting in the shadows?
They are props, because like I'm not the type of person that considers my dolls a companion. Like in real life, I don't consider them a companion. So they basically are just a toy, really. Like I do the same thing with my figures. I make stories with them. They're basically the same thing as that. So they are props, but I do care for them. Like I wouldn't want anything to happen to them, or anytime they get damaged, I'd always feel really bad that I've done it. But they're mostly just props for me.
I get it. But tell me, when the lights go low and the fans start whispering in the dark, do you get caught in their questions about your dolls? The collector crowd I roll with, they're always digging for the dirt, searching for stories hidden beneath the surface.
There's one thing that's happening a lot lately, like especially on Pornhub. People are demanding that I put like the girls' measurements and where they're from, and like asking all these questions, like to change my, like for me to change my content to basically just sell dolls, like, or like to give them all of my information. But that's not what I'm doing content for. I've even got to the point where when people ask me about what she is or what I kind of avoid the question as much as possible, just because I just get tired of like answering it a million times.
I understand the pressure of being asked about measurements and changing your approach, especially when there's an expectation to sell. For my part, I'm not a salesman or affiliated with any brand. I'm a genuine collector, deeply invested in the craft and the community. That's what makes these conversations meaningful. There's no agenda, just a shared passion for dolls and the stories they embody. With that in mind, when the cameras stop rolling and the shoots wrap up, how do you engage with your dolls? What's the experience like behind the scenes, away from the spotlight?
Well, I find when I get in the mood and when I'm on set, sometimes I'll just get into this thing to where I'm less careful with them, because once you're like doing something, like you always hear stories where during like sex or something, the guy bangs his head and he's like bleeding, but because he's all horned up, he doesn't really even notice. Well, it's kind of the same thing with me with dolls, really. No, I when they're not in a video, and I'm not using them, I still like care for them. Like I have Felicia in bed here lying to me. She's laying on her side with a nightie on and a blanket over her, and I will snuggle with the girls when I go to bed, because I find it makes me sleep a little better. But
I can relate, House. I'm someone who treats their dolls like gold. But when I first started out, there was definitely a bit of a learning curve, especially when it came to dressing them and getting things just right. It was more challenging than I expected at times. Have you run into similar challenges along the way?
I've had like there's always like something. Some are like more disastrous than others. Like I do have one video where I had Mary. I was like having sex with her on a weightlifting bench, and then I turned around to like adjust the camera, and then she rolled right off the bench. I was kind of like funny thinking about it now, but I was kind of horrified when it happened. Thankfully, she wasn't like damaged or anything. And there's been plenty of times where the girls have like fallen over. Like Mary, she has like this new expensive body, and she's fallen over twice, and she's been damaged each time that it happened. But well, I do have a cat that tends to photo bomb me a lot. So it video bombed me. So I have quite a bit of videos and posts and stuff that feature my cat, and it's totally organic. Like she totally will just show up. Like right now, she's laying at my feet, probably wondering what I'm doing.
It sounds like Mary's had some wild adventures. Falling off the weight bench is one for the case files. And a cat photobombing your videos? That's classic. Between unpredictable dolls and feline cameos, there's never a dull moment in your studio. Are there any tricks or behind-the-scenes secrets you've picked up that help make filming these unpredictable productions go a little smoother?
Well, I'm pretty sure everyone that knows this that has a doll is they are not really meant for having sex with for a long time. And it becomes quite hard to make, like, can you imagine just trying to, like on a real porn sets, they have like fluffers, and like people to, like it can go a pretty long time. But sex dolls, they're meant to get you off. So me personally, I can't really have sex with them like they need to be for a porno without a little help. So I've been buying this like numbing cream or numbing spray so it can give me enough time to get all the shots I need without just losing control.
Numbing cream. Now that's taken scene control to a whole new level. With all the prep and real-life distractions, have you developed any rituals or habits that help you get in the zone before filming or set the stage for your shoots?
Not really. Like I find there's a lot of setup before like the sex actually happens. I have like B-roll at the beginning of my videos, and usually while that's happening, I'm like arousing myself while I'm doing it, and sometimes that can be a detriment to the video because sometimes I'll get myself jazzed up too much, and the filming will become more difficult. But that's usually how it goes, how it starts. I guess that you can call that it's like a ritual. I'm jazzing myself up while I'm filming my B-roll.
Jazzing yourself up pre-show? I respect that. Around here, the closest I get is wrestling with a stubborn wig and hoping my doll doesn't decide to faceplant before the cameras roll.
It's kind of a weird dream, but I always wanted to have someone to help me film and position. But that would have to be some sort of special relationship to have that happen. Like I have seen recently that like there was kind of behind the scenes type filming where someone was filming while someone was doing like having sex with the doll, like very recently. And that's kind of a thing too that I wonder, like, I don't want to see it happening, but porn companies, like, all the big ones, for them, I'm surprised they haven't dipped their toes into making videos themselves with dolls.
My girlfriend actually helps me out with shoots. Having an extra set of hands definitely makes the job easier. Sometimes I think it'd be great to have a whole crew just to wrangle wigs and limbs. And you're right, it is surprising more companies haven't jumped into making videos with dolls. Posing them is an art in itself. I'm still figuring out new tricks every time.
Yeah. The stuff with that, though, like that's not, because people talk about all the AI stuff involved, like incorporating them with the dolls. Posing the doll is a part of the art part section of my video creation, I believe, because it is an art to pose a doll realistically. Like when you see someone that has their doll, like someone's pictures, and you can tell when they get it. Like there's so many people that'll have these beautiful dolls, but they'll be posed basically as a doll. And it's kind of like when you see factory photos where they try to make it look as bad as they possibly can, like doll-like. So when you get it, it's like surprises you.
My dolls definitely turned out better than those rough factory photos suggested. They clean up pretty well once you get them home. Do you have a favorite doll company that you trust or like to work with?
I really like Iron Tech, mostly because of their dolls have never done me wrong in their durability. And I think they're leading the way. Like the biggest thing now, I think, is like ROS, real oral structure, and like moving jaw. And I was like so surprised how good Iron Tech has implemented that into their previous head sculpt.
Shout out to Iron Tech. Haven't owned one yet myself, but that 161 minus from their natural series is definitely on my wish list. Their tech and realistic features really set them apart. Speaking of the doll world, what do you think is the biggest myth people have about doll owners?
Probably that all doll owners are virgin losers that can't get a real woman. I'm pretty sure most of the doll owners are definitely not those. They're people that just want, I don't know, I don't want to sound too like, they just had enough with women, really. They wanted more control, I guess. They want a quieter, peaceful life.
You're right. I just had Dr. Hansen on my show, and studies show most doll owners are simply looking for a peaceful, drama-free life. People like me, we're drawn to the artistry, the beauty and stories these dolls inspire.
But I had a bad breakup, and I was like emotionally wrecked for that for a while. But then when that was finally gone, and I totally like settled on, okay, I don't really need to be in a relationship. Dolls satisfy a lot of like my sexual desires. Because really, to me, I don't know if it's just me, but modern dolls, sex with them is nearly almost as good as a real woman. I don't know how much of the doll community would say that, but I'm pretty sure it'd be pretty high.
It sounds like you found a lot of comfort and fulfillment with dolls. Sometimes they become more than just a distraction, almost like a mirror to what we really need. That blend of reality and art makes me curious. Do you see your work as breaking taboos, or is it more about creating fiction and storytelling?
At the beginning, before I started doing doll porn, I was totally about breaking taboo. When I would see someone like doing something crazy with dolls and being out there in the open, because I always hated seeing these like TLC shows like exposing doll owners. This is so weird, and I just hate. I thought to myself, how can those people let them come in and do that? Because all they're gonna portray them as like in a negative light. But now though, I've kind of like dropped that entirely because I really started doing like the porn stuff more often. So I don't know.
By the way, one of my informants on Instagram, Photoguru, sent me your file and actually requested I put you on the show. Sounds like you have a great fan right there. How does it feel to be an influencer in the doll world, getting the spotlight and starring on cool shows, and have you been contacted by any vendors to collab?
It's honestly kind of like it validates all of the work that I put into it. But I have gotten plenty of offers from torso companies to make content. But like I think I said earlier, it's not really what I do because you can't make characters out of a headless torso. But and if I was offered, I would go through the whole thing. Like I have dolls in mind, which will be my next purchases for my next characters. But if they offered me something, I'd probably instantly make a character, and then they would get featured the same way my other girls do.
Well, House, let's hope someone catches this episode and sends you a fresh new character to bring into the spotlight soon. We've covered a lot. From behind the scenes and the challenges of posing to the artistry and the genuine connections dolls can inspire. Any last words for our listeners?
It's actually the way that these websites are made, like Pornhub and OnlyFans and stuff, it's very difficult for doll owners to create doll porn because no one looks at, like when you upload something, a person isn't looking at your content and saying, oh, that's a doll. That's not a real person. That's okay. No, a bot is looking at your content and deciding, hey, that's a real person. You must give the information on that person, and then we're gonna flag your content, and you're gonna have to go through all these steps to prove that your thing you uploaded is a doll and not a real person. I've had 4 videos removed from Pornhub because they wanted me to give performer information on Anna, one of my dolls. And it's like, she's not a performer. She's a doll. She's not a real person. So they didn't do anything. They didn't answer me. So I lost over 100,000 views because of these bots. OnlyFans is even worse. Every time I post something that's a little sexual, it's likely to get flagged, and then I got to jump through all these hoops in order to have that flag taken off. But I guess it's my fault. Well, I try to make them look as human as possible, so...
Sounds like you're playing a high-stakes game in a world that's still sorting out the rules. A shadowy dance where the lines between real and fake get blurry. And the watchdogs aren't quite sure who's who. In this case, the art pushes boundaries. And with every flag or stumble, the conversation shifts. Thanks for shining a light on these challenges. From the shadows of misunderstanding to the bright truth of passion and craft. House, thanks for being on the show.
Thank you, Detective. I enjoy seeing what sort of stuff the community can come up with, and I enjoy what you're doing here.
Thanks, buddy. I'm shining a spotlight on this community, one show at a time, revealing its true greatness. This is the Doll Detective signing off until the next case unfolds. Case closed.